Welcome, my love light lifers. Natty T here, your vibrational coach. Today we're talking about symbols. We've been talking about dreams. We've been talking about synchronicities, signs, numbers, all of these things that can help you know where you are in a general place and get a jump on your vibration and therefore your manifestations. Let's get into it. All of my returning subscribers, if you're just turning up for the first time, thank you for coming. Hope you have some fun. Don't forget to subscribe and to follow and go over to the Facebook page, like it all up. We have some real fun over here talking about crazy stuff like symbols. Okay, so our first video on symbols, we're talking about the love heart symbol. We're talking about the four-leaf clover. We're talking about rainbows. We're talking about unicorns, stars. We're talking about moons. I could keep going because symbols are everywhere around us, including letters and numbers. A is for apple. There's a little symbol of an apple, probably on all your eye stuff. And why do these symbols, or how do these symbols help us to know where we are? So what we're talking about here is, in this whole series, we've basically boiled it down to the fact that a lot of these things that we notice in our day-to-day life, when they stick out to us, there's something there, there's something on our path there for us to know, and how we can use that to our advantage. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is a symbol. Well, a symbol is an actual symbol. It's a representation. It's a visual representation of something. Now, here's the weird thing. When we think of the apple symbol that goes along with Apple, with iMacs and iPhones, and all the iStuff, iPads, even though that's the symbol of an apple, we don't associate that with food. In fact, if I gave you a box with that exact symbol on it, you wouldn't think I was giving you food. You wouldn't think that there were apples inside, would you? You'd get excited. You'd be like, ooh, this is about the size and the shape of an iPhone. Yeah. What I'm talking about is that we come to associate, we come to know or expect based on symbols. And here is the thing. If we're expecting based on a symbol, then guess what? When symbols stick out to us, we know what to expect. However, vibrations can get quite broad and they can get very specific. And this is where it comes down to our good old friends, feelings and emotions. So what we're talking about here is that when we see the apple symbol, we don't think about food, but we do think about, maybe the first thing that pops into your head would be an iPhone or an iMac or an iPad. And we could think about electronics. Chances are, though, there's a very small amount of people that actually think about electronics when they think about Apple, the company. When they think about Apple, the company, they probably more think about communication. They more probably feel excited. Think about how people feel when you tell them that who is coming out with a new iPhone if they are Apple fans, or if they're not Apple fans, what they might feel. The idea is that we get this idea in our head based on this particular symbol that we're looking at. If I was to give you a ring box, would you expect that there was a ring inside? If I gave you a gift and there was a big love heart on the box, would you expect that I pooed in it? Probably not. That would be misleading. Why? Because the love heart symbol makes you expect something that expresses my love. Now, maybe that's how I express my love. But more likely, you would expect something like chocolates or flowers or jewelry or a stuffed toy. You know. So we expect based on these symbols that we see. So if you're seeing particular symbols a lot, you might then start to expect. Now, you might do it consciously or you might do it subconsciously, but consciously has more momentum. So doing it on purpose, thinking on purpose has more momentum. Period. So for example, a little while ago, we're gonna talk maybe 8 months ago, I started seeing rainbows everywhere. I can't even tell you how many rainbows, real rainbows that I saw. Actual rainbows in the sky, rainbows in games, rainbows on video, rainbows in pictures, rainbows everywhere, rainbows. I cannot tell you. I saw, in the space of a month, I probably saw 5 or 6. A couple of them were double rainbows. I had one, I was sitting at a set of lights. There was a massive rainbow across the entire sky. And when I looked closely enough, it went all the way down and it landed on the hood of my car. I was like, if that is not a good omen, I don't know what is. Now, of course, we've got to remember that this is some really good feedback about our vibration, or my vibration. I was the one seeing it, but it's really good feedback on our vibration. It tells us we're in a really good place, but what place? Good place? You might be happy with that. I'm a little bit more curious. I want to know, which place? What place are you talking about? What could rainbows actually symbolize? Well, you can go online and you can look up pretty much any symbol. Animals are also really good symbology if you're seeing specific animals as well. We might even have to do a couple of videos on that. But for now, we're just going to talk about, if I'm seeing these rainbows everywhere, what are we talking about? Well, let's face it. What do we think about when we think about rainbows? Well, first of all, we presume there's been a storm. Okay, so we're coming out of a negative period. Okay? Then, what's the other thing that we know about rainbows? There's the gold at the end of them. So this may be heralding in a particularly abundant time, which it did, and I believe that it's still coming. we might still be in a very down part, but up and down, guys. So what I'm saying is, when we start to see things, like you start to notice, okay, I've seen like an extraordinarily unusual amount of these particular symbols, it gets our attention. So what do we do with it then? We'll find out tomorrow.